maker culture and maker philosophy, history, values, and goals. The maker culture refers broadly to the growing number of people who are engaged in the creative production of artifacts in their daily lives and who find physical and digital forums to share their knowledge, processes, and products with others. As we have pointed out in the introduction, this movement has garnered a lot of attention in the last decade, to the point that President Obama himself organized the first White House Maker Fair in 2014 and called on people across the country to join this philosophy that sparks creativity and encourages invention in the US communities. Maker culture has thus become a way to express creative and communal impulse, and this momentum has led to an explosion of maker spaces not only around the United States, where the movement was born, but also around the rest of the world, across a range of instructional environments, including libraries, museums, independent non-profit or for-profit organizations, primary and secondary schools, and institutions of higher education. The maker culture encompasses a diversity of practices, and we can find a variety of definitions, but they all have points in common. Chris Anderson, in 2012, defines the movement as a new industrial revolution. According to his definition, there are three key characteristics that distinguish the makers from the inventors and entrepreneurs of prior times: the use of digital desktop tools, a cultural norm of sharing designs and collaborating online, and the use of common design standards to facilitate sharing and fast iteration. Mark Hatch, in 2014, CEO and co-founder of TechSop, one of the first and most successful makerspaces, wrote a Maker Movement Manifesto that described makers' activities and mindsets organized around 9 key ideas: make, share, give, learn, tool up, that is to say, secure access to necessary tools, play, participate, support, and change. Following Anderson's ideas, Hatch also highlights the importance of the construction of physical objects as a feature of the maker movement. This emphasis on building objects makes it distinct from the earlier computational and internet revolutions. Dale Doherty, in 2012, has been considered the father of the maker movement and also popularized the principles of the maker culture through his company, Maker Media. This company publishes a magazine called Make, hosts 3 annual World Maker Fairs and more than 50 annual local mini maker fairs in different countries. The events include live demonstrations, showcase stands, product sales, and opportunities for attendees to create their own projects. Dougherty explains that the term maker is universal and core to human identity, and he subsequently defines the maker movement more in terms of the people who associate with the ethos of making than in terms of how or where making happens. All these authors also emphasize the democratizing nature of making through affordable hardware, easy access to digital fabrication, and shared software and designs. In that sense, the maker culture contributes to a new concept of interconnected reality and a philosophy of collaborative and common work, something that, in turn, would probably contribute to the developing new social and economic models in the coming years, avoiding excessive dependence of big industry and consumerism. Its philosophy is based on the fact that anyone with access to the internet can search for information, use programs, watch tutorials, download designs and prototypes, and carry out a manufacture without having to go to the industry. With these tools, almost anyone can innovate and change the world. At the same time, the maker movement was initially criticized for focusing on a narrow range of maker activities, primarily robotics, electronics, and vehicles, and for being a culture with a male dominance. However, the panorama of this movement, which is much more restricted to that world of men, has become broader in recent years and it's important to mention the positive contribution at an educational level to generate more technological vocations in girls and women, especially in university settings. In fact, one strand of the initial focus of making applied to learning and education originated in university institutions. Fab Labs were created by Massachusetts Institute of Technology, the MIT, Professor Neil Gershenfeld in 2005 as pedagogical environments that would allow everyday people to solve their own problems by producing, rather than purchasing or outsourcing, the tools that they need. Today, the FAD Foundation provides support for the creation of new Fab Labs around the world, training for new labs, the development of local networks, and international support. Nowadays, other informal learning settings, such as museums, libraries, and independent nonprofit organizations, are playing an important role in diversifying the maker movement by making tools, materials, and processes more readily available to people who may not initially self-identify as makers.